The Alien and Predator franchises have both been mixed when it came to quality content, especially in the films department. The Alien franchise started off strong, with Alien and Aliens being some of the most recognisable horror and action films of all time. But from this point on, every other entry was lucky if it was good enough to get mixed reviews. The Predator franchise also started off strong, with the first one being remembered as not only a good action thriller, but also a good deconstruction of the action movies that were being made at the time. However, none of the following movies after this managed to reach this height again, although with the exception of the Predator, the rest of them are pretty enjoyable to watch. And so, with Fox owning the rights to two of the biggest killer aliens in movie history, and with both franchises struggling in their own way, it was decided that they would both appear on the big screen together and reinvigorate the slump their franchises were in. And it kinda worked. The movie was criticised for the PG-13 rating, lack of memorable characters, and the story being weak, but most people can appreciate the set and costume design, the action and special effects, and it managed to make a profit at the box office. Which leads us to Alien vs Predator Requiem, a direct sequel to the first movie and continues where it left off. I don't know why they chose Requiem as the subtitle. There's no thematic element throughout this film about the main characters honouring the dead or singing for them. It's just a cool sounding name they added. Ooh, I know, maybe it's the Requiem the audience will be giving as they watch this series get shot in the back of the head. I also don't know why they decided to make this a Christmas release, as the movie had absolutely nothing to do with Christmas, and the tagline on the poster seems weirdly dated and out of place if you don't know that this film was released on Christmas Day. This film is awful, and not in a so bad it's good way. It's just really badly put together, both due to the rushed development and the lack of budget. And I mean, the dogshit script doesn't help either. And before we get to the actual story, let me tell you the worst part of this film. You've probably seen the title of this video and gone, the worst film you've barely seen? What does that mean? It means exactly what it means. You can barely see this movie, because they had so little time to set up shots properly and had so little budget that the lighting was absolutely atrocious. There's a video uploaded that shows this film with 300% more brightness and it still looks dark as shit. I don't know if they just didn't have enough light or if the camera had really poor exposure, but whenever the shot is in an enclosed space, like a building or a sewer system, you're basically just looking at some vague shapes in pitch black darkness. I don't know how the executives watched the finished cut of this and thought, yep, that's what a normal film looks like. What the fuck is going on? The movie starts on the final scene of the first movie, with the Pred alien bursting from the chest of the recently deceased Scar. Later, we see that presumably several hours after this, the Predator ship is still just orbiting around the Earth, and I genuinely cannot tell you why. I thought you were going to go take Scar to be buried, but I guess the temptation of space drifting around the planet was too much for them to ignore. On top of this, we see that the inside of this ship is full of facehuggers, which not only seems like a weird decision, due to the fact that this expedition wouldn't require facehuggers as that was the whole point of the temple, but also a dangerous one, as if any of these things got free, they could latch onto one of your soldiers. It's almost like the movie just needed an excuse for more people to get facehugged later. Anyways, the Pred alien manages to stay hidden until it's fully grown before attacking the crew, leading to a scuffle that causes the ship to crash and the crew to be killed, either by the crash itself or the Pred alien. The crash catches the attention of a hunter and his son, who become the first victims of the newly released facehuggers. And let me tell you, these two must be Olympic athletes, because the two manage to run several miles to the crash site, and not only has the sun not changed position, but they don't even break a sweat after running several miles up and down a mountain. On top of the fact that, you know, one of them's a 10-year-old boy. We then get onto one of the few good scenes in this movie, showing us Wolf, the main Predator character, and him gearing up to try and figure out what's gone wrong with the Predator ship. It's a small scene, showing us some of the architecture of Predator society, and I think it looks pretty cool, especially the set and prop design. We are then introduced to our first two human characters, Convict and Sheriff. In a small piece of character writing I actually enjoy, which actually got my hopes up for the film before I saw the rest of it, it turns out that despite what looks to be a hostile standoff, these two are actually old friends, and that Sheriff is looking out for Convict because the two of them used to be quite similar, and states that he is going to try and find him work to be a better person because the police showed that he could be a better person. It's pretty much the only good character writing for these two, so enjoy it while you can. We are then introduced to Convict's brother, Dickhead, named as such because he's an annoying little dickhead who only cares about getting his dick wet and just being a wet flannel to everyone around him. The first scene we see of him is him refusing to wear his uniform properly and trying not to deliver a pizza, all because he doesn't want to.
You got no respect.
As he is delivering the pizzas, we are introduced to love interest, Chad, Chad's friend, and women. Dickhead likes love interest, but she is with Chad, despite the fact that she seems absolutely disgusted by Chad and seems to hate him, making her being with him seem illogical. Then again, she is a woman.
Women.
So when Dickhead delivers the pizzas and absolutely roasts Chad...
It's a cute outfit, Rick.
Yeah, it's in Halloween in October.
I'm about to end this man's whole career.
At least now I know who ordered the sausage lovers.
Chad decides to kick the shit out of him and throw his cars down the drain. Get fucked, Lamau. At the same time, near the sewers, a police officer tries to get rid of a homeless man, only for the man's dog to find the hand that fell off the hunter from before, and then both the hunter and his son have chest bursters appear from their bodies. Remember in the first Alien movie when it's established that it took several hours after the person woke up for the chest burster to start to escape? That was too boring for this script, so they just appear immediately so they can help the Pred alien inconvenience the local town.
How convenient is that? Wow, how convenient is fucking that?
Also, this scene with the dog really annoyed me. You would think that with them being on Earth and all the animals that are available, that the film could have tried to introduce several different types of alien based on what animals are around. But nope, we never see any unique variants, it's all just xenomorphs and the Pred alien, showing the wonderful creative freedom this movie exhibits. Meanwhile, Soldier arrives back home to meet her family, and Dickhead meets his brother, who tries to help him find his keys in the sewers. At the same time, the xenomorphs start to invade the sewers, face-hugging some of them, and the Pred alien does something with the female. We'll get onto that later. Wolf arrives on Earth and after paying respect to his fallen comrades begins to loot the ship for weapons and supplies, which seems like a really dumb thing to introduce to him. We just saw him do a whole suit up scene before, and now the film decides that he actually needs another one and desperately needs the supplies on the ship, despite the fact he obviously would have been armed to the teeth by the time he departed for Earth. Anyways, he sets the ship to self-destruct and continues his journey to track the xenomorph threat. The brothers venture into the sewers and successfully retrieve the car keys, while also discovering small hints that the aliens have started to infest the sewer system. Wolf finds the bodies of two dead hunters, using a blue liquid to dissolve their remains and the remains of the facehuggers, before killing a cop in the woods, which I find interesting. Usually predators would ignore a fleeing or surrendering enemy and let it live, but as Wolf is not on a honor hunt and is on a damage control mission and trying to cover up the existence of aliens, he chooses to kill the police officer, showing just how ruthless predators can be when they're not on an honor-bound trophy hunt, which is then immediately made completely fucking stupid by the fact that he then proceeds to skin the officer's corpse and leave it hanging in a tree, wasting precious time to rub his own dick over the fact that he killed a fleeing enemy instead of just getting on with his job. Honestly, one of the worst things about this film is it brings in so many interesting concepts and ideas and then proceeds to do absolutely nothing with them or completely fucks them up, taking one step forward and about 10 steps back. Dickhead and love interest meet up the next day, and she then invites Dickhead to go late night swimming with her despite knowing that Chad would absolutely kick the shit out of Dickhead for being with her.
Be gone, fuck!
Wolf ventures into the sewers and after finding the remains of the dead homeless people, begins to fight some of the xenomorphs in the area, in a very slow moving and difficult to comprehend fight scene. I didn't even realise that one of these aliens was the Pred alien until after Wolf gets knocked aside, because you can't fucking see anything.
Brilliant. I have absolutely no idea what's going on.
Venturing to the surface, Wolf begins to track down the fleeing xenomorphs. And let me tell you, he's either really shit at his job or the film just had to reuse the shooting location for these back-to-back scenes. The xenomorphs flee, creating holes in the ground, and you can clearly see this location with the Papa Johns. This scene then ends, and we get a completely different scene that again shows the holes and the Papa Johns and then cuts to the diner that's near it. So Wolf apparently couldn't track his target to the big building right in front of him.
Could you be more worthless?
Anyways, in the diner, the aliens kill a chef and then the pred alien does something to the waitress. Again, we don't see what happens yet, but the implications of this aren't pretty. Wolf tracks down some of the xenomorphs to the local power plant and decides that the best thing to do is to try and quick scope them from across the map. And after a few hard scoping sessions that make him look extremely bad at his job, he accidentally ends up fucking up the electrical grid.
Why are you gay?
At the same time, Dickhead and love interest try and go sensually swimming together before getting jumped by Chad and his boys, who then proceed to get jumped by a xenomorph who decided to come skinny dipping with them, forcing Chad, Dickhead and love interest to flee while the other two get slaughtered.
Help me!
Soldier's daughter is using the night vision and spots a xenomorph outside, and when the dad tries to assure her there's nothing there, he gets jump scared and mauled to death. At least, I think he gets jump scared. All you can see is a bunch of white teeth vaguely in the darkness and then a bunch of vague shapes moving around that you can't see. So he could be involved in a tickle fight as much as a death brawl and you'd be none the wiser because you can't fucking see anything, god damn it. Also, despite seeing her husband get mauled to death and despite the 8-foot tall monster breaking into her house, Soldier is extremely calm. I know she's a soldier and she has her daughter to worry about, but you'd think seeing the towering abomination rip the love of her life apart in front of her would get a bigger response than...
We have to go! Come on!
At the burning power plant, Dickhead tells Sheriff and Convict about the monster that attacked them at the pool, and after finding the very poorly cleaned up crime scene where Wolf got rid of the bodies but left the giant trails of blood everywhere, we also get a scene showing the after effects of whatever the pred alien did to the waitress, showing a gaping wound where the woman's pregnant stomach was. The National Guard arrive to try and help solve the situation in the town, while the main cast goes to a nearby gun shop and arms themselves. As Sheriff tries to get in touch with them, the National Guard decide the best way to deal with this unknown threat is to split off into random directions in small groups so they can be picked off one by aliens that just magically show up out of nowhere. I'm serious, look at this scene. He approaches the car and there's absolutely no possible place for the alien to be hiding, and then it just shows up out of nowhere to appear behind him.
Hello, motherfucker.
As the group arm themselves, Soldier and her daughter arrive at the shop to meet up with them. We then cut to the hospital, with most of the staff attending the medical emergency and intensive care wards, leaving the maternity complex completely unprotected. The pred alien sneaks into the ward, kills a nurse, and then starts to impregnate the pregnant women in the ward. So every time it's been latching its face onto women, it's been doing this, allowing new aliens to be inserted into the larger bellies so the spawn can eat the human babies and then burst out when ready. It's actually kind of interesting. It's certainly a unique idea, and the only reason I despise it is because I know that someone somewhere is jerking off to this shit. Also, I guess RIP to these little alien bite-sized snacks. Back in the weapon shop, Convict is knocked out by the Predator and hung upside down as bait, and I'm not sure how this scene works. Aliens already just kind of hone in onto survivors making noise and moving around, so the aliens would have found the group eventually. I'm not sure what Wolf thought he was doing by dangling him upside down, because not only does this seem redundant, but now he's alerted the humans of his presence and distracted himself from hunting down the pred alien, the thing that is creating more aliens and leading the rest of them, the thing he needs to get rid of first. As Chad attempts to run for the car by himself, he is attacked by an alien, and as Wolf kills it, he is slowly killed by acid blood. I guess the situation slowly dissolved on him. The group find the National Guard vehicles and radio the commanding officer, informing them of the situation and being told that they need to head into the centre of town for evacuation. Having fought a small group of aliens, Wolf emerges victorious, and after turning his damaged shoulder cannons into a handheld one, he heads towards the hospital. On the way, Soldier stops the transport they're in and argues that the plan to go to the centre of town and be surrounded on all sides makes no sense. So this bitch and Sheriff decide to keep going to the centre of town, while the rest try to get to the helicopter on top of the hospital, with some random guy joining them. What good scenes will this interesting character have? I'm sure a random guy joining them when there's only 20 minutes left of the movie, he's gonna have a terrific personality. The group enter the hospital at the same time that Wolf does, with both sides moving through the alien-infested hospital. And so this new, interesting, unique character gets immediately killed by an alien. And I know this not because I can actually fucking see anything happening, but because we hear and then there's an alien standing there. Like, seriously, what am I looking at here? How did the alien even get there? Was it hiding in the cocoon substance on the walls? Was this guy just not watching the rear guard? Did it just teleport out of nowhere? I can't tell you anything because trying to watch this movie is like Stevie Wonder trying to watch a movie. Love interest gets scared and runs away. And then the funniest fucking thing happens, I kid you not. So as Wolf begins fighting the Pred alien and the alien hive, he throws these throwing blades to kill 2 of the aliens. At the exact same time, it instantly cuts to love interest running down the hallway, and the blades slam into her and pin her against the wall. There's basically no build up, it just cuts from Wolf fighting the aliens to this bitch being hung up like a goddamn painting. What are the odds that she would run into this exact spot at this exact time? It's just funny because you'd think she would get a little bit more character and build a relationship with Dickhead before dying. They just kill her off, and then after this scene the characters just move on.
Holy shit, you fucking killed her, dude!
So Dickhead immediately starts shooting Wolf, distracting him long enough for him to get tackled down an elevator by an alien he was fighting. The group then decide to just stand around looking at each other, allowing the Pred alien to stab Dickhead before running away. Luckily for us, the Pred alien, which has shown no problem with instantly killing everyone else it's killed, only manages to wound Dickhead in the shoulder.
Well, isn't that just fucking convenient for you?
Taking Wolf's hand cannon, Convict takes the group to the roof where the helicopter is, telling the group,
Get to the chopper!
Stop! He's already dead.
Convict decides to split off from the group and draw attention to himself, giving the group time to get to the helicopter. We then get this scene. Sure, because it's not like all of that acid blood raining down on top of him should be melting him to death or anything. As Convict is about to get killed by an alien, Wolf bursts through the roof, fighting the aliens and giving Convict time to save the group. Wolf and the Pred alien square off, and it's really awkward because it's just 2 big dudes in rubber costumes trying to do fight choreography. The Pred alien will just disappear, and then despite being 8 foot tall and like 600 pounds of muscle, it somehow sneaks up right behind him when he stood in the open. Despite knowing about these xenomorphs and the fact that they're remorseless killing machines that have no concept of fair play or honour, Wolf decides to take the time to unarm himself and ceremonially unmask himself. I don't know what's stupider, the fact that he does this or the fact that the Pred alien just stands there and watches him do it. Wolf immediately engages in hand-to-hand combat, and surprisingly enough, fighting the ultimate killing machine like this isn't a smart idea. He then manages to break its inner mouth off and the 2 impale each other. And I have to wonder, what was Wolf's plan here? His mission is to try and hunt down and kill the aliens, to stop the infestation from spreading. So he decides that the best way to do this is to have a fight to the death on top of a rooftop. Yeah, the army ends up nuking the place, but he had no idea that would happen, so he was happy to die on this rooftop without sending a distress signal or any message to tell his brothers what happened here.
Good job.
So yeah, everyone who is gathered in the town gets nuked off alongside Wolf and the alien forces, with only the main group surviving as they manage to get out of the blast radius. The helicopter crashes and they are rescued by the military, and the hand cannon the Convict took is taken away to Weyland-Yutani. And then the movie ends. The best way to describe this movie is that it has the vibe of a cheap sci-fi or thriller film, one that was made by some sort of amateur film studio. And those kind of films are fine, but not when it's a film made by one of the biggest studios in Hollywood, featuring some of the most recognizable horror movie icons and franchises of all time. This film is absolutely atrocious, with generic characters played by okay acting at best, bland music, weird editing, fight scenes that are either obviously CGI or poorly choreographed close-up fight scenes that constantly cut to different shots, and just terrible film composition. While it does have some small minuscule parts that I like, overall it's just a terrible film. Like a fan film if the fan film had $40 million of budget and didn't understand how lighting works. Thanks for watching, lads and lasses. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing and checking out some of my other videos. Sharing always helps, and if you're feeling really generous, please consider my Patreon or YouTube membership. I also have a Twitter and occasionally I do live streams. But most of all, I just hope you had a great day and hopefully I will see you in the next video.